Will the price of eggs ever be coming down? I'm Arman Rahman, and I spoke to experts about the outlook for the prices and the supply for the rest of 2025.
Plus, the balance of power for the state Supreme Court is up in the air this April. We catch up with conservative candidate Brad Schimmel for his thoughts on the race and the reaction to President Trump's pardons of those involved in January 6th.
You're probably going to be paying more the rest of your life every time you borrow money.
And later, credit card debt higher than ever. What some financial experts say you can do to improve your credit score. And we welcome you to News 3 Now at 6. Good evening. Thanks for being with us. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson.
Well, you may have noticed eggs are still rather expensive and sometimes even hard to find.
Our Arman Rahman explains why and how long experts think it will continue. Arman?
If you think problems with the supply or price of eggs are going to crack in 2025, think again.
And what we're seeing is that the avian flu has really evolved and lasted and changed in ways that we really couldn't predict.
But because of the avian flu, the USDA estimates egg prices to rise about 20% in 2025. Mike Semin is the president and CEO of the Wisconsin Grocers Association. I asked him about high prices and reports that stores like Metro Market are limiting how many eggs you can buy per trip.
I think on a case-by-case basis, what you're seeing is you're trying to make sure that the retailers are trying to make sure that they can serve all of their customers.
Semin recommends that if you normally buy, say, large white eggs, maybe try another type, like small organic brown.
And in my case, I found that type in a little bit better both supply and price.
It might be easier to find eggs on the restaurant menu than the grocery store right now.
For French toast, for pancakes, omelets, of course, skillets.
But the Copper Top restaurant on the west side of Madison buys cartons that are a bit bigger.
One of our cartons is about 15 dozen eggs, and we usually go through 15 of those a week.
But they've had to shell out almost twice as much for a carton from their restaurant vendors in the past few months. Owner Bob Januzzi bought cheaper from Costco last week, but doesn't know if he can depend on that.
Honestly, I hate to raise prices, but at this situation, the prices might have to go up. So
it's an uncertainty running from the farm to the shelf to the table.
It's going to last and go in directions that we all don't expect.
According to Semin and the USDA, this also comes at a time when eggs are seeing a 50-year high in demand. Reporting in Madison, Arman Rahman, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Arman. Now, according to the USDA, severe weather across the country in January this month also helped spread the avian flu in states that did not have those outbreaks in 2024.
A former UW lacrosse chancellor is suing the universities of Wisconsin. This after he was fired for his involvement in the adult entertainment industry. Joe Gao is filing the federal lawsuit in hopes of getting reinstated as a professor on campus. In December of 2023, the UW System Regents removed Gao as chancellor after a complaint that he and his wife created and took part in pornographic videos online. Then in September last year, Gao was removed from his tenured professor position for violating terms of his contract and damaging the school's reputation. Gao argues the firing from his professor position violated his free speech rights under the Constitution.
No one is hurt, luckily, after a chimney fire in Madison over the weekend. Fire crews were sent to a home on Sumac Drive in the Shorewood Hills neighborhood at about 9:15 Saturday night. They found fire in the outside wall of the fireplace and quickly put it out. Damage was contained to the outside of the home, and the owners were not displaced.
Madison police are looking at several reports of vehicle break-ins. Last Friday, officers say those incidents happened about 7:30 in the morning Friday around Maher Avenue, Camden Road, and Buckeye Road. According to police, the thieves took some loose change and small items. So far, no arrests have been made. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers or submit a tip online to p3tips.com.
A Tennessee man is dead after a crash Sunday afternoon in Dodge County. It happened in Beaver Dam on County Road B at the intersection of County Road A. Around 4:30, a pickup truck failed to stop and hit a Cadillac Escalade. The truck's passenger, a 30-year-old man, was ejected from the vehicle and died at the scene. The truck's driver was seriously hurt, but then later taken into custody for OWI. Meanwhile, a man and a woman in that Escalade both suffered life-threatening injuries. 3 children in that Escalade also suffered minor injuries.
The campaign trail is heating up in the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court.
And these are the elected officials deciding on issues like abortion and voting rights in Wisconsin. Political reporter Will Keneally has more.
Yeah, it's not often that you see someone as prominent as Elon Musk here tweeting out about an off-year election here in Wisconsin, but that's how important this race is, setting the stage between liberal candidate Susan Crawford and conservative candidate Brad Schimmel. And it was Schimmel who we caught up with earlier today.
I've never spoken with the world's richest man. It was a surprise to me.
The national attention on this Wisconsin Supreme Court race is already growing. Whoever wins this April's election will decide the balance of power on the bench. It's an opportunity for conservatives to win back control of the high court, which allows them to set policy around voting fraud, for example.
I'm grateful to have what appears to be his support in this. I'm not running on an agenda to go after anything. I'm running, I suppose if I have an agenda, it's to return objectivity to the court.
This race also comes against the backdrop of some conservatives calling for a shakeup of the justice system after what they described as an overreach under Biden. Trump pardoned, for instance, 1,500 January 6th defendants.
That's against the law. They should be prosecuted and held accountable. And judges should impose sentences that are just under the circumstances. I've also said, though, that the United States Supreme Court had to finally recognize that prosecutors in Washington, D.C. overreached.
And Schimmel here faces Dane County Judge Susan Crawford, who's backed by liberals in the race. Now, this election is April 1st.
All right, Will, thank you. A lot warmer today than last week, but just a tad gusty out there. Alex is out on the weather patio.
Yeah, a lot of folks are hitting me up about the warmer temperatures, but why do we have to have the wind, Alex? Well, actually, it is the price you pay when you go from those bitterly cold temperatures that we had 1 week ago to temperatures that are going to be approaching 50 degrees this week. You had to have the transition to go from cold to warm, and it's the wind that makes it happen. Wind gusts is as high as 41 miles per hour out in the prairies of Mineral Point, 40 in Janesville, or 37 rather, but pretty close to 40, 33 in the Dells, and get used to these gusty winds, even with temperatures at 43 on Tuesday, 36 Wednesday, and all the way up to 50 by Thursday that will be accompanied by gusty winds. And as temperatures finally start to take a tumble as we head towards the weekend going out into next week, we'll have a few things to say about the temperature trend there with precipitation. More on that in just a moment. 36 here in Madison right now, but still hanging on to 40 degrees out in Boscobel, 37 in Verona, and 37 to the southeast in Edgerton. It's breezy out here in the patio. I'm a little sheltered right here by the camera, but behind me those trees are swaying back there, even though temperatures will be in the 30s this evening. It's going to be windy, and they'll put just a bit of a bite in the air. I mentioned precipitation on the way to southern Wisconsin, or at least chances of it. Weather system on Friday and Saturday. I want to give you a glimpse in future track of that weather system coming up in Maine weather.
All right, Alex, thanks. You're taking a live look at the municipal room at the Monona Public Library. That's where Representative Sheila Stubbs and Senator Kelda Roys are holding a listening session on the Abundant Life Christian School shooting. Their members of the public can share their thoughts on the tragedy, also provide ideas on how to make the community schools safer. Tonight on News 3 Now at 10, our Ellie La Liberté will have more on this meeting tonight and also reaction from the community.
And another business is stepping up to help Abundant Life Christian School. On Wednesday this week, Papa Murphy's pizza locations in the Madison area will be donating 50% of online purchases. So here's a list to check out of just some of the locations participating. And in order to donate, you will have to make an order at papamurphys.com, so online, and then enter the promo code BELIEVE during checkout. You can find a full list of these locations at channel3000.com. And coming up on News 3 Now at 6, if you're on the hunt for a new job this year, you're not alone. What LinkedIn says are some of the fastest growing roles in the country.
But first, credit card balances are higher than ever before. What a consultant at M3 Financial says you can do to improve your score.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Well, total debt on credit cards for Americans is the highest it's ever been. $1.16 trillion. With totals that high, it's important to understand how it can affect our credit.
And that's whether you're looking for a loan, car, mortgage, or just applying for utilities. Your credit is a major factor. News 3 Now's Michelle Renee Quinn has more on what financial experts say you need to know.
Understanding your credit is vital for your financial health. Your credit score is based on your credit history, which is a record of loans, money owed, how long you've had credit, and whether or not you pay your bills on time. Charlie Monkwitz, a consultant with M3 Financial, says
big swing in credit score can mean big dollars in how much you pay when you borrow money.
if you pay more than the minimum balance due, you can reduce your principal balance, save on interest, and pay off your debt faster, versus only paying your minimum balance, which could take years. Step 1 to improving your credit is paying your bills on time. Sarah Brendan, the first vice president of Park Bank, says budgeting can help make on-time payments. She uses Excel to budget and is able to include extra funds for bills that may vary, as well as deadlines to never miss a payment.
My advice is to understand how much money you have flowing into your household and how much money you have flowing out of your household, and then allocating those amounts into different categories, whether it's housing, utilities, things like your phone bill, credit cards, because on-time payments, when we're talking about credit and building credit, it's the most important factor towards building and maintaining a positive credit score.
The second step is try not to borrow more than 30% of your allowable limit. For example, if you have a $10,000 credit limit, try not to borrow more than $3,000.
Rating agencies don't look favorably on that, and they tend to give you a lower credit score.
Muckwitz says while the highest score you can receive is 850, if you have a score of 670 or above, you're doing pretty well. Step 3 to improving your credit is to check your credit report and dispute if needed.
Get the history, and if there's something on there that doesn't look right, you can dispute it and get it cleared up. In fact, if you don't do that, you're probably going to be paying more the rest of your life every time you borrow money.
Everyone is entitled to a free credit report. You can check each of the 3 major credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, free once annually.
That was our consumer reporter, Michelle Renee Quinn. If you do borrow more than 30%, or if you have multiple credit cards, the best thing you can do is pay the minimum amount on all and overpay the one perhaps with the highest interest. Another option, though, is overpaying as much as possible on your smallest balance until that debt is paid off, and then move on to the next.
Still ahead, the Super Bowl now less than 2 weeks away. How much it'll cost you to host a party this year?
You doing that?
I don't think so.
Plus, tax season is now underway. What financial experts say you can do to get the most out of your return this year.
And just how warm will it get this week? Alex will take a look at your complete forecast when we come back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
The official start of tax season is here. That means it's time to start gathering all those financial documents from 2024 ahead of the April 15th filing deadline. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the best way for filers to get those refunds within 21 days is to file electronically and to use direct deposit. That's for whether you need to hire a tax professional.
It depends on the complexity of your life. Some people think it's just, oh, I have a lot of money versus not. But if you're just a wage earner, a W-2, by the way, keep your eye out for all these tax documents. They come via snail mail very often. But if you're a wage earner, you could probably do it yourself.
Schlesinger says filers with more complex returns could include owning a business, being self-employed, or maybe selling real estate. You may want to consider hiring a tax preparer.
Now, more than half of Americans say they're on the hunt for a new job in 2025, and some of the fastest growing opportunities didn't even exist 25 years ago. How about that? An annual report by LinkedIn, Exploring Jobs on the Rise, found roles focused on AI are among the fastest growing in the country. Positions like travel advisor and event coordinator also ranked high on the list from LinkedIn shares. They also have some advice for those thinking of making a switch.
The right way to think about your job is a basket of skills. And the first question to ask yourself is, which of these skills can I put to use somewhere else? And where are the places where I can build some new skills to complement those skills and have an entirely new opportunity?
For those looking to build new skills, LinkedIn recommends volunteering, participating in a job rotation or mentoring program, and also exploring your company's tuition reimbursements.
Well, right now, News 3 Now and Babies and Beyond are teaming up to help families in need with our community baby shower. We're asking for donations of all the essentials to help families across the region. Some of the items needed include diapers, pull-ups, baby wipes, and formula. Items can be dropped off at the Babies and Beyond Donation Center. That's located on South Stoughton Road.
Temperatures will feel a lot warmer than compared to last week, although a lot windier maybe. Here's Alex with the complete forecast.
All of the above. This time last week, in fact, tomorrow morning, we were right in the middle of the grips of that incredibly cold air mass that we had come down from the Arctic regions, bringing us those temperatures in the teens below zero and wind chills approaching 40 below. What a difference a week makes. But then it's the wind, as you were just saying there, Sarah, that's helping bring in the mild temperatures, and it's going to stay warm all week. But we are eyeing up some precipitation, too. More on that a little bit later here in my main weather. Dodgeville, first warm weather cam out there. If you look closely enough, you can see that it is still moving and shaking out there as we have those strong gusty winds out there. The cams help us to show the weather, not just report numbers, but we actually can see over Iowa County that wind gusts today were approaching 40 miles per hour, so no doubt the camera was moving back and forth. Tracking those wind gusts through the rest of this evening between 30 to 35 mile per hour wind gusts all night long tonight, maybe briefly relaxing as we go into Tuesday morning between 10 to 20 mile per hour wind gusts before those wind gusts go right back up to 35 to 40 miles per hour on Tuesday. Wednesday's going to be windy and Thursday is going to be windy too. But it's these winds that are bringing in warmer temperatures, lows tonight in the lower to middle 20s, depending on how quickly we can get the clouds to clear out, and also having those winds gusty that may help keep those temperatures more in the middle 20s across southern Wisconsin. And a warm day for January standards. Look up here, normal high is 27. We do 43 for a high temperature in Madison, 43 in Watertown, 46 in Lone Rock, and 47 to the west down the Wisconsin River towards Prairie du Chien. Future track temperatures then going into Wednesday up near 40 degrees, mid to upper 30s across much of southern Wisconsin, with the warmest readings on Wednesday over southwestern Wisconsin, 40 in Prairie du Chien, 40 in Platteville. We start off very mild in the 20s to near 30 for a low temperature Thursday morning, then boosting all the way up to 50 degrees. Would not be surprised to see a few areas getting into the lower 50s on Thursday as well. Current temperatures out there right now, 36 degrees. Remember, our normal high is 27, and we're 10 degrees above our normal high temperature, and the sun's already gone down, and it's still 37 in McFarland, 36 in Waunakee, 36 to the northeast in Sun Prairie. Planning the rest of our evening out there, even though temperatures will be in the lower 30s when you join us again at 10 o'clock, it's going to be windy out there, and that puts just a little bit of a bite in the air. Following our warm temperatures and windy conditions all the way through Thursday, a weather system Friday, Saturday, going on into Sunday, a sneak peek at that. Right now, most weather models keeping that weather system mostly to the south of southern Wisconsin. Maybe a few clouds and gusty winds. Precipitation chances about 30%. As we go into Saturday, maybe a few snow showers as colder air eventually starts to invade southern Wisconsin. Not the bitterly cold stuff, but at least certainly a little bit on the colder side, and rain and snow shower chances Friday will transition more towards snow shower chances the further we get into the weekend.
All right, thank you, Alex. This one's for you, Frankie, all right? The Super Bowl matchup is set between Kansas City and Philadelphia, which means you can start planning your watch parties. According to a Wells Fargo report, this is very specific, pretty cool. If you're feeding 10 people a spread of chicken wings, guacamole, chips, and beer, it'll cost you about $139. That's only 10 cents more than last year. The cost of beer and some food items have gone up a little, but the cost of others have gone down, so it balances out that
Just
total.
don't have deviled eggs at your Super Bowl party. That's the trick. No eggs.
Okay.
No eggs. Too expensive.
There you
Raises
go.
the price. Zach?
Well, that makes us hungry. And still to come in sports, I'll tell you why, for Wisconsin men's basketball, the only thing better than one John is two of them. That's next on News 3 Now. In college basketball, you are lucky if you have one player that can really score the rock, a true number one option. But this year, the Badgers don't just have one number one option, they have two number one options, John and John. The pair have stepped into stardom this season, each scoring at least 16 points per game. They'd each be the top option just about for any team in the country, but together they've proven to be elite and are elevating each other's games.
And I think we just have fun hooping with each other. It's just fun to go out there and play with him every night. And he just showed you something new almost every night. You know, he can get to the rim, shoot the three, get to the midi. So I just love going out there hooping him, and he's a dog.
We're just out here having fun. He makes my job a lot easier, getting downhill and just being, at the top of that scouting report. So, I'm just loving being here and being able to play on the same team as him.
Well, speaking of the Badger men, they moved up one spot in this week's AP poll from the 18th ranked team in the country to the 17th. They'll put that to the test this week when they go on the road to play at Maryland and at Northwestern. Speaking of that number 17, Wisconsin men's hockey is back in the rankings for the first time since late October, slotting in as the nation's 17th best team in the USCHO poll. After a really slow start, Wisconsin men's hockey has been hot lately. They've only lost one game in regulation in their last 17 contests. With 4 conference series remaining, Bucky sits in 4th place in the Big Ten. Next up for them is a border battle at number 4 Minnesota this weekend. And no surprise here, but the Wisconsin women, they're still the nation's number 1 team. The Badgers, they've won 25 of their 28 games this season, but suffered a rare tie this past weekend against St. Cloud State. And we've got one more John to talk about before we go. John Axford, you remember him, of course, the relief pitcher for the Brewers who set the single-season saves record in Milwaukee's franchise history in 2011 and was also named the NL's reliever of the year that year. Well, he's going into Brewers history. The Brewers announced today that they'll be inducting the Axe into their Walk of Fame. And by the way, guys, baseball isn't that far away. Brewers pitchers and catchers report to spring training in less than 20 days.
I thought you were going to say they signed Axford. I was trying to get worried. Let's go to Alex. Quick final check.
Windy and warm. That's what you need to know for the next couple of days here, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Windy conditions with temperatures approaching 50 by Thursday.
All right, we'll take it.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us at 6, folks.
See you back here at 10 o'clock.